Ethan was only 8 years old, but he had a curiosity and a love for life that made everyone around him smile. He was bright, full of questions, and fascinated by heroes. He loved reading stories about brave soldiers, explorers, and people who did extraordinary things to protect others. There was something about courage and honor that made his eyes light up and his heart beat faster. Even in the face of his own illness, Ethan carried himself with a quiet bravery that left his parents in awe. Ethan had been diagnosed with a serious illness just a few months earlier. His parents, Michael and Laura, had spent countless hours at hospitals sitting beside him while doctors explained complicated procedures. They had learned to become patient, to find joy in small moments, and to keep hope alive even when it felt impossible. They tried to shield Ethan from fear, but he had a wisdom beyond his years. He understood that his time might be limited, and yet he wanted to live fully every single day. One afternoon, as Ethan sat by the window drawing pictures of soldiers in his notebook, Laura came over and asked gently, "Ethan, if you could do anything in the world, what would you want to do?" Ethan looked up at her, his small hands holding a crayon tight. He thought for a moment and then said softly, "I want to meet the tomb guards. I want to see them in person, the soldiers who protect the tomb of the unknown soldier. They are so brave, and I want to know what it feels like to stand like them." Michael and Laura exchanged a glance. They had heard of the tomb of the unknown soldier, of course, and knew that the guards were some of the most respected soldiers in the country. They stood perfectly still, guarding the tomb without fail, rain or shine, day after day. But the thought of getting a special meeting with them seemed impossible. And yet when Ethan looked at them with hope in his eyes, they couldn't say no. "Ethan," Michael said carefully, "we'll try. We can ask, but we don't know if it's possible." Ethan smiled, and for a moment it was as if all the worry and pain melted away. "Please," he whispered. "I just want to see them once. I want to know what it feels like to be brave like them, even if just for a little while." Laura held his hand and felt a lump in her throat. She knew this wish was more than just a simple meeting. It was a chance for Ethan to feel part of something bigger than himself, something noble and pure. It was a way for him to see courage up close and to connect with heroes who lived by honor. The next day, Michael picked up the phone and called the military protocol office. He explained Ethan's situation, speaking slowly, trying to convey how special this request was. The voice on the other end listened politely but warned him, "These requests are very unusual. The tomb guards have strict rules and private meetings are rare, but we will see what we can do." For the next week, Michael and Laura waited anxiously, checking their emails and phones constantly. Then one afternoon a reply came. The message was formal but kind. The tomb guards had heard about Ethan's wish and wanted to help if possible. They would arrange a private visit, a special ceremony to honor the child and make his dream come true. When the news came to Ethan, his face lit up like the sun. He could hardly believe it. "Really?" he asked, eyes wide with wonder. "I get to meet them? I get to see the tomb guards?" "Yes, Ethan," Laura said, tears in her eyes. "They are going to meet you." Ethan spent the days leading up to the visit preparing. He drew pictures of the tomb guards, practiced standing straight, and even asked his parents to explain the history of the tomb of the unknown soldier again and again. He wanted to understand everything before he met the guards. He wanted to be ready, to show respect and to learn. The day of the visit arrived, and Ethan's parents helped him into his best clothes. He wore a small navy blue jacket, and his hair was neatly combed. Michael and Laura could see how excited he was, but they also noticed a quiet seriousness in his expression. Ethan understood that this was important, and he wanted to honor the moment. As they arrived at the tomb, the air was crisp and clean. Soldiers walked with purpose, their boots clicking on the marble ground. Ethan's eyes widened, and he clutched his mother's hand tightly. He could see the guards standing perfectly still, their faces calm and their posture rigid. There was something almost magical about them, a combination of strength, honor, and calm dignity. A senior guard approached them, bowing slightly. He introduced himself and welcomed Ethan with a gentle voice. "We are honored to meet you, Ethan. Today is your day, and we will show you what it means to be part of this tradition." Ethan's heart raced with excitement. He listened carefully as the guard explained the rules, the history, and the importance of guarding the tomb. Then, to Ethan's delight, the guard allowed him to try some ceremonial movements under careful supervision. Ethan laughed as he mimicked the steps, stumbling slightly but never giving up. He felt like he was part of something greater, something noble, something heroic. For a few precious hours, Ethan forgot about the hospitals, the treatments, and the pain. He was simply a boy standing with heroes, learning what it meant to be brave. Michael and Laura watched, tears streaming down their faces as their son's dream came true. They could see him shining with pride and joy, even in the shadow of his illness. The visit ended with a small ceremony. One of the guards knelt down and presented Ethan with a tiny ceremonial badge, a symbol of courage and respect. Ethan's eyes glistened as he accepted it, holding it close to his chest. It was a small object, but to Ethan, it represented the world, bravery, honor, and the kindness of strangers who went out of their way to make his dream come true. As they left the tomb that day, Ethan held the badge tightly, a bright smile on his face. He felt stronger, braver, and more alive than he had in weeks. Michael and Laura knew that this memory would stay with their son forever, and they were grateful beyond words for the soldiers who had made it possible. Even though the family knew that Ethan's time might be limited, they felt a sense of peace. They had witnessed something extraordinary, a group of soldiers who, despite their strict rules and responsibilities, had shown compassion and humanity to a little boy. For Ethan, it was more than a visit. It was a moment of joy, courage, and connection that he would carry in his heart forever. And so, that day marked the beginning of a story that would touch many lives, a story of bravery, honor, and the simple but powerful act of fulfilling a child's wish. Ethan had met the tomb guards, but in doing so, he had also created a bond between his family and the heroes who stood for courage every single day. The morning of the special visit arrived with a gentle sunlight streaming across the tomb of the unknown soldier. Ethan woke up early, even before the alarm, his small heart beating fast with excitement. He put on his neat clothes carefully, straightened his little jacket, and ran to the mirror to adjust his hair one last time. Today was the day he would meet the tomb guards in person. Today his dream was coming true. Michael and Laura watched him with quiet smiles, their hearts full of both joy and a touch of sadness. They knew this experience would be unforgettable for Ethan, but they also understood how fragile these moments were. Still, they wanted him to live fully, to feel happiness, pride, and courage, even if only for a short while. As they approached the tomb, Ethan's eyes grew wider with every step. The guards stood tall and still like statues, their uniforms sharp and their faces calm and serious. Ethan could feel the weight of history around him, the honor of generations who had served, and the silent courage of those who guarded the tomb day after day. The sight of them filled him with awe and respect. A senior guard approached, bowing slightly. His voice was warm but steady. "Welcome, Ethan. We are honored to meet you today. We have prepared a small ceremony just for you. We hope this day will be special, not just for you, but for your family as well." Ethan's face lit up with a bright smile. "Thank you," he whispered, his small hands gripping his parents' hands tightly. He could hardly believe this was real. The guards guided the family to a quiet area near the tomb, away from the regular visitors. Ethan listened closely as the senior guard explained the history of the tomb of the unknown soldier. He spoke of the brave soldiers who had given their lives to protect their country, of the honor in remembering them, and of the strict discipline required to guard their resting place. Ethan's eyes sparkled with curiosity, and he asked question after question, wanting to understand everything. "Why do you have to stand so still?" Ethan asked, his small voice filled with wonder. "One must show respect and honor," the guard replied kindly. "Even in silence, we honor those who gave everything. Standing still is a way of showing courage, discipline, and remembrance." Ethan nodded slowly, trying to imagine the strength it must take to remain so composed for hours on end. He felt a deep admiration for these men and women who chose to serve in such a unique and demanding way. Then, something amazing happened. One of the guards knelt down to Ethan's level and said, "Would you like to try standing like a tomb guard?" Ethan's eyes widened and he almost squealed with excitement. "Yes, please." The guard guided him carefully, showing him how to hold his hands, how to stand tall, and how to keep his gaze forward. Ethan tried his best, wobbling slightly at first, but with the guard's gentle encouragement, he managed to hold a proud and steady posture. He felt a mix of pride and thrill running through his body. For a moment, he could imagine himself as a real tomb guard, part of something larger than himself. "Very good, Ethan," the guard said with a smile. "You have the heart of a tomb guard. Ethan's chest swelled with pride. He looked at his parents, who were watching with tears in their eyes, and he knew they were proud too. For a few hours, all worries, all illness, all hospital visits faded away. He was simply a boy, standing among heroes, learning courage, honor, and discipline. After practicing the ceremonial movements, the guards invited Ethan to a private area near the tomb, where they conducted a small ceremony. They explained the meaning of every action, every gesture, and every uniform item. Ethan listened intently, absorbing every word. He felt a sense of connection not only to the guards but to all the soldiers whose bravery he had admired from afar. Then came the moment Ethan would never forget. One guard knelt and handed him a small ceremonial badge. "This is for you, Ethan," the guard said gently. "It is a symbol of courage, respect, and honor. Today you are an honorary tomb guard." Ethan's eyes filled with tears, but he couldn't stop smiling. He clutched the badge tightly to his chest, feeling as if he were holding the world. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for everything." The senior guard placed a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder. "You have inspired us today, Ethan. Your courage, curiosity, and respect remind us why we do what we do." Ethan's parents felt a wave of emotion. Watching their son so happy, so alive, and so connected to something greater than himself was a gift they would treasure forever. The guards, through their small but powerful gestures, had given Ethan a memory that would shine brightly even in the darkest times. After the ceremony, the guards allowed Ethan to walk slowly along the perimeter of the tomb. He touched the polished marble lightly, feeling a strange and comforting connection to the soldiers who had come before. He asked questions about the rituals, the history, and even about some of the famous ceremonies that took place there. The guards answered patiently, never rushing, always making him feel valued and respected. By the end of the visit, Ethan had learned more than he could have imagined. He had experienced bravery up close, learned about honor, and felt the deep respect that comes from standing in the presence of heroes. The visit had been more than just a dream fulfilled. It had been a lesson in life, courage, and humanity. As they left the tomb, Ethan held the ceremonial badge in his hand, a constant reminder of the day he had spent among heroes. His parents walked beside him, feeling a mixture of gratitude and humility. They knew that this experience would remain with Ethan forever, giving him joy, pride, and courage, even as he faced the challenges of his illness. That evening, Ethan placed the badge on his bedside table and looked at it with a smile. "I want to be brave like them," he said softly. "I want to do good things even if I'm small. I want to make people proud." Michael and Laura held him close, their hearts full. "You already make us proud, Ethan," Laura whispered. "You always have." And so that day ended with warmth, love, and a sense of accomplishment. Ethan had met the tomb guards. He had learned, laughed, and felt proud. But more than that, he had created a connection, a bond of respect and courage that would continue to inspire him and his family for the rest of their lives. The story of Ethan's meeting with the tomb guards would later be shared with friends, family, and even strangers. People were touched by the simple but powerful act of kindness and honor. But for Ethan, Michael, and Laura, it was more than a story, but it was a memory, a lesson, and a gift that would stay in their hearts forever. The visit had transformed not only Ethan's day but also the hearts of everyone involved. The tomb guards had given a small boy courage and joy, and in return, Ethan had reminded them of the true meaning of their service: honor, respect, and humanity. After that unforgettable day at the tomb of the unknown soldier, life returned to its usual rhythm for Ethan and his family. The hospital visits, treatments, and medications continued, but something had changed. Ethan carried a new light within him, a quiet strength and a sense of pride that had not been there before. The memory of standing with the tomb guards, of learning their discipline and honor, and of receiving the ceremonial badge became a source of joy and courage for him. Michael and Laura noticed it immediately. Even during difficult days when fatigue or pain weighed heavily on Ethan, he would touch the badge on his bedside table and smile. It reminded him of his dream come true, of the bravery he had witnessed, and of the importance of living fully despite challenges. For his parents, it was both comforting and bittersweet. They wished he had more time, but they cherished the moments that made his days meaningful. Ethan often told stories about the tomb guards to his friends and hospital staff. He would describe their movements, the history he had learned, and the small ceremony where he had become an honorary guard. His words were filled with excitement, admiration, and a sense of purpose. Those who listened were moved by his enthusiasm and inspired by his courage. It was as if Ethan had absorbed a part of the honor and dignity of the tomb guards and was sharing it with the world. One day, a social worker at the hospital suggested something that Michael and Laura had not considered before. "Ethan's story could help other children," she said gently. "He has experienced something extraordinary, and maybe it could inspire others who are going through similar challenges." Michael and Laura looked at each other, thinking carefully. They realized she was right. Ethan's experience was more than just a personal memory. It could be a gift to other children facing serious illnesses. With Ethan's blessing, they began planning a small initiative to help make children's dreams come true. Even as Ethan's health declined slowly, he remained determined to share the courage and joy he had felt with others. He spoke about his visit, wrote letters to the tomb guards thanking them, and even helped his parents organize small events at the hospital where other children could meet their heroes or learn about courageous figures. For Ethan, it was not just about him, it was about spreading hope, bravery, and kindness to others who needed it most. The tomb guards, who had been touched by Ethan's visit, continued to stay in contact with the family. They sent letters, small gifts, and words of encouragement to Ethan, reminding him that bravery comes in many forms, and that living with courage every day is as honorable as standing at the tomb. Their simple gestures of kindness strengthened Ethan's spirit and gave him something to look forward to. Even during challenging times, as weeks passed, the family began to think about how they could expand Ethan's dream into something lasting. With the support of friends, hospital staff, and the military community, they established a small foundation in Ethan's name. Its mission was simple but powerful: to help children with serious illnesses experience meaningful moments and meet role models who inspire them. The foundation was called Ethan's Honor, a tribute to the courage, joy, and inspiration that he had received and wanted to share with the world. Ethan was actively involved in the foundation in every way he could be. He helped choose which children to support, wrote encouraging notes, and shared his story with everyone he met. Even when he felt weak, he insisted on helping others experience the same magic he had felt with the tomb guards. His parents were amazed by his determination and selflessness. Ethan had faced his own challenges, yet he focused on bringing hope to others. One evening, as the family sat together, Ethan looked at the badge on his bedside table and smiled. "I never thought I could be this happy," he said softly. "Meeting the guards, it changed everything. I feel like I've been part of something important, even for a little while, and now we're helping other kids too." Michael and Laura hugged him tightly. "You've changed all of us, Ethan," Michael said. "Your courage, your kindness, and your dream, they've inspired more people than you can imagine." Ethan passed away a few weeks later, surrounded by love and peace. His family grieved deeply, but they also felt an incredible sense of gratitude. He had lived his life with courage, joy, and an unbreakable spirit. His final wish to meet the tomb guards had not only given him happiness but had also sparked a movement of kindness and hope that would continue for years to come. The foundation, Ethan's Honor, grew steadily, helping dozens of children fulfill their dreams. Some met soldiers, artists, or firefighters. Others received special experiences they had always longed for. Every time a child smiled or felt courage because of the foundation, Michael and Laura felt Ethan's presence, as if his spirit continued to guide and inspire them. The story of Ethan and the tomb guards also spread beyond the hospital and the foundation. Newspapers, social media, and local communities shared the tale of the little boy whose wish had been honored with compassion, honor, and respect. People were touched by the simple truth that small acts of kindness, when combined with courage and humanity, could transform lives in ways no one could imagine. The tomb guards themselves reflected on Ethan's visit for years to come. They often told new recruits about the little boy who had inspired them, reminding them that their service was not just about rituals and discipline, but also about humanity, empathy, and making a difference in the lives of others. Ethan had taught them as much as they had taught him. In the end, Ethan's brief life left a lasting legacy. Through his courage, his dream, and the kindness of the tomb guards, his family found purpose and strength. They learned that even in sorrow, hope and love could grow, and that honoring someone's dreams could ripple out to touch countless lives. The family often visited the tomb, sometimes alone, sometimes with children from the foundation. They would stand quietly remembering Ethan, the boy who dreamed of heroes and whose courage had inspired so many. The badge Ethan had received remained on a special shelf in their home, a symbol of bravery, honor, and the enduring power of a simple, heartfelt wish. Ethan's story, simple as it was, became a reminder to the world. Courage is not only in grand gestures but also in small moments of joy, hope, and human connection. And sometimes fulfilling a child's wish can create a legacy far greater than anyone could imagine, a legacy that transforms lives, spreads kindness, and honors the true meaning of heroism.